So I've recently had many questions from people who are separated but currently married. And a lot of these questions really entail, how do I save my marriage even while separated? So in this video, I really want to cover three crucial components of saving a marriage while separated. And I want to start by telling you a story. So I was working with this couple once years ago. And it was a dismissive avoidant and an anxious preoccupied partner. And what I often find is that if somebody is not super dismissive avoidant, super anxious preoccupied, especially in this couple's case, it was almost like they each had 50% secure and 50% DA and AP. Often what happens is when a dismissive avoidant makes it past the power struggle stage of relationships and really settles into the security or stability stage, what essentially will take place is dismissive avoidance because they value and care about that stability and certainty and security so much. A lot of times they will get very settled into a relationship. But a lot of times, what comes with this naturally is sometimes a lack of presence and care and showing up. Of course, unless the dismissive avoidant themselves is healing and working on becoming securely attached, which that in and of itself will lead to both parties more likely investing in the relationship in a healthy way. In this case, however, when this couple came to me, they were really struggling to actually work things out and to really move the needle on healing. And one of the biggest things that came out from the anxious preoccupied side of the relationship is she said, I felt like my husband has never been interested in my daily life. I feel like he never asks questions about me or how I'm doing or what I'm feeling. And at this point, this couple had been married for almost 15 years. And the dismissive avoidant husband had no idea that his wife even felt this way. So, one of the first conversations we had is just talking about emotional intimacy and the importance of that for an anxious preoccupied. And because the dismissive avoidant was so settled into the relationship, he was actually in a position where he was trying to save the marriage and he couldn't even understand why his wife was the one really considering leaving and really moving through this place of I'm filing for divorce. I don't think I want to be in this relationship anymore. And they were really kind of hanging on to the relationship by a thread. So as we talked about this and she shared, I felt like there was a lack of interest from my husband in my life. It really came out just how important that is. Now, if you've ever heard of the Gottman Institute, it is one of the most extensive, one of the places where they study relationships in to the greatest extent over long periods of time. And John Gottman himself talks about one of the biggest factors that contributes to a relationship failing or surviving and even thriving has to do with, is our partner willing to receive bids? Is our partner willing to, when we reach out or we talk or we connect or we say, oh, look at the sky, look at how pretty the sunset is? Does our partner engage with us? Do they pay attention? Do they listen? And so, one of the very first things we did working with this couple is I just had them start being more attentive to bids that each other were giving. Because really, the biggest issue from the anxious, preoccupied side, who was the one considering leaving, which is more rare, but was happening in this case, she said, I feel like my partner doesn't engage with me. I feel like he's not interested in my daily life. So I just asked him, will you please ensure that you are able to start paying attention to bids and start trying to engage and even initiate bids towards your wife? And will you also make sure that you're asking her personal questions about her daily life? Now, his response to me is, I can definitely do that, but we're always in life together. Like, don't we know each other so well? And the thing that I said in that situation was, it's so funny because think about when you met 15 years ago or so, and think about what happened over the last 15 years and how much you have changed from that person you were 15 years ago to who you are today. And if you can think about all of your change, all of your growth, all the ways that different components of you have shifted, imagine what that was like from your wife's perspective. She's changed enormously as well. So just because we get to know somebody on day one and we really get to know them when we're dating them and we're in the honeymoon stage, once we get through the power struggle stage and we settle into relationships, this isn't an end game. This isn't where we stop paying attention, where we stop listening, where we stop getting to know our partner. And so much of the subtleties of getting to know our partner on a daily basis, which contributes to emotional intimacy in a relationship. And that has a huge effect on physical and sexual intimacy in relationships. One of the biggest things is to engage on a daily basis in terms of bids and to make sure that you are asking questions about your partner's life on a daily basis. How was work today? What happened? And not generalized questions, but actual detailed, specific questions. One of the biggest things that contributes to emotional intimacy in relationships is how specific our questions are. If you come home from work and I say to you, "Oh, how was your day?" And it's this very open ended question, you say, "Oh, it was good." "Oh, nice. Okay, great. My day was good too." It's easy to just leave with a very surface interaction. But if I say, "How did it go with your boss this morning? How were your meetings? What did you do at your lunch break today?" Or, I really ask more and more specific questions when someone shares things. This is a way of drawing out deeper connection. And sometimes what happens in marriages and longer term relationships is that we get so settled in with how somebody is and our routines and our patterns that we forget to continuously get to know each other and be specific. And this is one of the biggest things that contributes to emotional intimacy, which also has a huge impact on physical intimacy. So, one of the first major components in regards to saving a marriage or a long term relationship is if you are a dismissive avoidant, to be able to ask your partner questions that are designed to draw out connection and emotional intimacy and just a sense of closeness in general through more specifics and through ensuring that you engage in bits. The second major thing, if you're a dismissive avoidant and you're trying to save your marriage, is to also engage in being vulnerable. It's one of the easiest things that just goes under the radar because dismissive avoidance, their natural state and way of being is not vulnerability. It takes them a long time to really engage in that vulnerability. And as the dust settles after we go through these sort of deep parts of connection in the dating and honeymoon stages, and then we work through the power struggle stages, as the dust settles, it's so easy for a dismissive avoidant to not continuously open up, to not share their inner world, to not be vulnerable because growing up in their upbringing, this wasn't modeled to them, right? There wasn't a lot of healthy modeling in regards to a dismissive avoidant having their inner world shared with their parents or their caregivers, and their parents and caregivers sharing their inner worlds with them. So, if there's this big fear of vulnerability, and if it's a sort of gray area in the relationship where it's not something that you both engage in regularly, or the dismissive avoidant doesn't engage in regularly, then it is really important to pay attention to this. It's very valuable when these things come up. And from the flip side of that is that as the anxious preoccupied, if you're in this APDA kind of power struggle dynamic, it is also of the utmost importance to make sure that when you are communicating, that something needs to shift or change in the relationship, that you are not communicating reactively, that you are communicating proactively. And I call it really the difference between positive versus negative communication because as an anxious preoccupied, it's very easy to not share your needs because you are afraid of what will happen if you share them. Oh, I'm going to seem like a burden, or I'm going to be too much, or I'll be abandoned, or I'll be disliked. A lot of those anxious preoccupied fears come up. And what essentially has to take place is as an anxious preoccupied, you have to be sharing those needs that you have because if you don't, it will often, even though you're avoiding it for the short term, longer term, it will come to the surface as criticism instead. And this is really a form of negative communication. If you say, "You never do the dishes," instead of saying, "Hey, I could really use some support. Do you mind taking a turn doing the dishes tomorrow?" When you share it from that perspective, that is you communicating in the positive. When you say you never do this, or you didn't do that, or you always forget this, whenever we speak about what didn't happen or what already went wrong in the past, we're communicating in more of a negative context. And if we say what we're needing in the present or in the future, and dismissive avoidance particularly respond infinitely better to communication in the positive that's clear, that's specific, that's asking for support, that's really breaking things down, and then that's appreciating a lot of these different dynamics. So when we have the dismissive avoidant engaging in bids, we have them creating more emotional intimacy, we have them really making a difference or an impact when it comes to asking more specific questions, and then opening up and being more vulnerable. And then we have our anxious preoccupieds making an effort to communicate more openly, communicate in the positive, stop being critical, and really being accountable for being aware of how you communicate and how things come out. And then we also have the anxious preoccupied really working on acknowledging and appreciating when the dismissive avoidant does meet their needs. This is like the starter pack for healing an APDA relationship because it really allows a shift at the very foundation. And these are not huge asks. These are things that even when we're in a rocky place in a relationship, we are able to dig into a little bit. We are able to share and open up about. And it's not something that requires this huge transformation in a relationship, but instead, these subtle consistent ways of doing things that shift the ways that these two individuals are used to relating to each other at the core or at the root. And ultimately, through doing that, this is where we tend to see the seeds being sown for extreme transformation in relationship. So I have some exciting news, which is that we are doing $1,000 off of our lifetime membership sale to the Personal Development School, which means you get access to literally everything at PDS for your entire rest of your life. Essentially, that entails all of our different courses you have lifetime access to. I do 4 live webinars a week, every single week. You can access them ongoing, and you get access to all of our daily community events. So I'd love to see you on the other side, and you can access it by using the link in the description box below. So there's more we can talk about here. If you want to do a much deeper dive into all of this, you can check out our How to Repair Any Relationship course. It really does a deep dive into different dynamics, the ways of understanding relationships, and really how to get them off the rocks and back into a healthy space. And it goes into a tremendous amount of detail, and you can check it out for free for 7 days using the link below. And also, if you enjoyed this channel's content today, I put out daily content here about relationships, marriage, the subconscious mind, reconditioning old limiting beliefs, learning about our needs and how to communicate our needs and our boundaries. And if you want to not miss any daily content, then you can hit the notification bell and subscribe to this channel. And this will help you stay in tune and up to date with all of the content that we put out. So thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and sharing this video, and I will see you in future videos.